Hi guys, this is Rainy April with my very first tutorial, and today we're going to be exploring color theory, more specifically the color wheel and color mixing. We also have a couple of paintbrushes, a pencil, something round, in this case I'm using an old Mickey bowl, and you're going to need some acrylic paint in the colors of red, yellow, and blue. Now it doesn't have to be anything fancy. These ones I got some time ago at Five Below, so they cost me less than $5. They're perfectly good for student learning, for teaching yourself how to paint until you get to a better level when you want to buy yourself some quality paint. So that being said, you're going to place your bowl in the middle of your paper, use your pencil to trace around it. We want to get a circle. Now you want to take your acrylic paints. You're going to need 2 piles of each color of paint. So 2 blues, 2 reds, and 2 yellows. Now the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take one of each of these colors and we're going to place them on our color wheel. So there's my blue. I'm going to take some red and put it up here at the top. Then I'm going to take some yellow and I'm going to put it opposite where the blue is. So now you have your 3 primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, on your color wheel. Now for this part of the tutorial, we're going to be making secondary colors. Now your secondary colors are green, orange, and purple, or violet. And the way that we make these secondary colors is by combining equal amounts of the primary colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split off half and half, so that way we have 3 piles. So I'm going to take half of this blue, I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to take half of this red and move it over here. And I'm going to take half of this yellow and move it over here. So now we have 3 piles of the primary colors. And from here, we're going to mix our colors. So taking an equal amount of the blue, which is what's left over here, I'm going to take this and I'm going to add it to my red. So they should be equal amounts of the color. Now while you're mixing, you don't want to add any more of an additional color. You want to make sure you have equal amounts and that's it. So once you start mixing, you're done. So make sure they are equal before you start mixing. Okay, so I have mixed my red and my blue, and now I've got my purple color. This is my violet secondary color. Now this other red is going to get some yellow. So I'm going to take the other half of this yellow and add it to the red and mix it together. And that's going to give us our secondary color of orange. Now for this last one, I'm going to take the yellow and add it to the blue. Now that doesn't exactly look like equal amounts, so I'm going to need a little bit more from this pile of yellow. All right, let's start mixing. So we're mixing our yellow and our blue to get our secondary color of green. Now one thing that you might notice while you're mixing your colors is that these colors don't look like your traditional purple, orange, or green that you might get out of a tube of paint or that you might find in the Crayola box. And that's perfectly okay. The reason for that is because those colors that you get that are already pre-mixed in the Crayola box or from the paint store, they have white added to them. So they're going to look more like that true green or that true purple if you mix white in. But we're not going to mix any white in. So we have our 3 secondary colors, and from here we're going to place them on the color wheel. So since I already have green on my brush, I'm going to place it in the appropriate spot on the color wheel. So where you place your colors is right in the middle of the 2 colors that made it. So since we used blue and we used yellow, we're going to put our green right in the middle of those 2 colors. Orange is going to go right in the middle of red and yellow. And our violet color is going to go right in the middle of our red and our blue. So there you have the beginnings of your color wheel. You have 6 colors. You have the 3 primaries, the red, the yellow, and the blue. You have your 3 secondaries, the violet, orange, and green. Now it's very important to wash your brushes and dry them thoroughly in between mixings. That way you don't have any color contamination in your mixing. So I'm going to go real quick and wash my brushes, and then we're going to make tertiary colors. Okay, so the next step is to create our tertiary colors. Now our tertiary colors are made by using equal amounts of our primary colors and our secondary colors. So what I did here was I took each of our secondary colors and I split them into 2 piles because we're going to make 2 tertiary colors from each of our secondary colors. Our entire color wheel will have 12 colors when we're done. So for the first one, I'm going to create blue violet and red violet. The way that you create these colors is by mixing in equal portions of the primary colors that you used to create them. So one of them is going to get red and the other one is going to get blue. Okay, so that one's going to get red. That one's going to get blue. You're going to mix them together. Might be a little bit difficult to see on the screen, but when you do this at home, you should be able to see the difference between the violet, the red violet, and the blue violet. Now whenever you are naming your tertiary colors, you want to use the primary name first. So it's not violet blue or violet red, it's red violet and blue violet. So these are the 2 tertiary colors that we get from mixing violet. For the secondary color orange, we're going to be mixing equal amounts of yellow into one and red into the other. That looks like enough yellow. That might be a little too much red. There we go. So the colors we are creating from this one are red orange and yellow orange. last but not least, we'll be creating yellow green and blue green. And that yellow green is a little bit closer to that true green that you're used to seeing, that frog green. Now it's time to put those tertiary colors on the color wheel. Remember that the colors go between the two colors that make them up. So the first one that I'm going to be creating here is the red-orange, and that's going to go right in between red and orange. And then I'm going to use the yellow-orange, which is going to go right between yellow and orange. And now I'm going to do yellow-green, which goes between yellow and green. And blue-green. Blue-violet. And last but not least, our red-violet goes right here between red and violet. So there you have it, folks. Your color wheel with your primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. You should have 12 colors: the red, yellow, and blue. Those are your primaries. Your secondary colors are the green, orange, and violet. And then you have your 6 tertiary colors: your red-orange, yellow-orange, yellow-green, blue-green, blue-violet, and red-violet. Happy painting!